All right, guys, today it is Wednesday. That means it is power rankings time. Week 4 is upon us. Let's get into it. All right, hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back into DaBearsDen, an NFL podcast with a Chicago Bears first focus. I'm your host, Alex. Today we are doing our Week 4 power rankings. It's really hard to believe that after a year of waiting for football, we're already going into Week 4. Lots of movement on the power rankings this week as we kind of start to get a firm idea of what teams are looking like this year. A lot of movement, a couple teams on here that I wish weren't on here personally, but it is what it is. Like I always say on this channel, I try to be as honest and fair and unbiased as possible. With that being said, let's not waste any more time. We'll jump right into the number 10 slot for my power rankings. And right before we get into this, I want to remind you guys, if you haven't seen my previous power rankings videos, these are power rankings based on what has been done this season. I'm not taking into account what's done in past seasons, what you did last year. That doesn't matter because we're in this year, okay? Number 10 spot, the Washington Commanders. If you guys watched my preseason pick'ems where I did my playoff predictions, I picked every single game of the season. I had the Washington Commanders as the 7th seed in the NFC, making the playoffs. And so far through 3 weeks, they are looking quite good. I have some concerns. If you watched yesterday's video, you'll understand. I have some concerns with the offensive scheming. And Jaden Daniels, lack of throwing over the middle so far. I think teams are going to catch on to that. But he had a brilliant performance against Cincinnati in Week 3. Set the all-time NFL rookie completion percentage record in a single game. Really, really looking good. Obviously, there's a strong argument that he's looked like the strongest rookie so far through 3 weeks. Team is looking good. We'll see if the Austin Eckler injury is serious or not. But Terry McLaurin, they've got weapons. They've got a good offensive line. He's got time to throw. And they're efficient through 3 games. He still hasn't turned the ball over, which is absolutely massive for a rookie quarterback. Washington Commanders at 10. Tied for first place in the NFC East currently. Who would have thought? I did. Number 9. In the number 9 spot, the New York Jets. Look, moving the Jets up into the top 10 this week. Aaron Rodgers kind of starting to get back into it, looking pretty good. They played Tennessee this past week, but he can only play who's on the schedule. He's looking efficient. He's looking like his old self again. And, it's not like that 2010 or 2015 or, 2020 Aaron Rodgers where he's just lighting the league on fire. Protecting the football, being efficient, getting the ball to the guys, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Alan Lazard, Breece Hall. The Jets look like they could be pretty dangerous, and with Tua's injury now in the AFC East, the AFC East is wide open. Definitely, with Tua's injury and the Dolphins looking really, really rough this week, that could potentially be a playoff team sliding out of the playoffs. And so that opens the door for a team with the Jets. As long as Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, this team has potential to contend. We'll just see if they can stay consistent. But through 3 weeks, they've looked quite good. At the number 8 spot, the Houston Texans. I've got them at the 8 spot. They're coming off a really bad loss to Minnesota. But these bad losses happen. CJ Stroud's in his second year. There's the sophomore slump. And he's looked pretty decent this year. I thought he struggled a little bit against the Bears. And obviously he had a really rough game against Minnesota. But I like this team. I like this roster. Good receiving core. Joe Mixon's obviously a beast in this offense. Really solid defense. Really fantastic coach in DeMeco Ryans. Couple losses in a row here. Maybe a little bit of a rough patch, but I think this team's going to be absolutely fine. The rest of their division is really terrible. When you look at the 0-3 Titans, the 0-3 Jags, and then the Colts 1 and 2, but Anthony Richardson has looked really, really rough this year. So this team's going to be fine. They'll get back into it. But they were due to kind of struggle a little bit. And remember, last year, they were, a bad fourth quarter pass away from Gardner Minshew from potentially missing the playoffs. They were only 9 and 8. But, I think it's kind of good. The media and everyone can kind of tone down the expectations a little bit on Houston. They're still a young team, but they'll find their way for sure. I've got them at the number 8 spot. The number 7 spot, the Green Bay Packers. Look, I thought that they were going to go on a massive loss streak with Jordan Love being out. But this is proof that Matt LaFleur is one of the best coaches in the league. I wish we had someone like him in Chicago, but the way that they can trade for Malik Willis and within a month get him starting and winning games, protecting the football and being efficient is absolutely incredible. He looks like a completely resurgent, reformed version of himself. Looks very, very solid. And, you know, it's proof that maybe it wasn't always Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers is one of the most talented and gifted football throwers in the history of the game, but maybe some of it was the system as well. At least when Matt LaFleur was there, we see it with Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love, and now Malik Willis. It's a plug and play offense to the point where Matt LaFleur is so good and the scheme is so good that someone that the majority of media and fans have written off can come in and you know not light the league on fire, but get wins, move the ball, look good, throw deep passes, trust his playmakers. And, I came on here and I said that I thought that they were going to look horrible and that Malik Willis was terrible. But, it's important to remember in this league, sometimes situation matters. And, maybe Malik Willis wasn't the problem in Tennessee, right? Like we look at what Will Levis has done this year. Maybe Tennessee's the problem, right? And Malik Willis has a solid place to be now in Green Bay. I've got them at the number 7 spot. Number 6 spot, another NFC North team, the Detroit Lions. 2-1, looking pretty decent. I'm still expecting them to struggle a bit. I don't think they're going to be as good and as dominant as they were last year. I think that they're going to have a mid-season kind of struggle. But through 3 weeks, they've looked pretty good, And I don't have a ton to say on Detroit. I just think that they face adversity and they bounce back and they get it done and they win, and they have a really great coach once again, and they've got really good pieces all around on both offense and defense, and so they're definitely a scary team. When you have a good roster, always a scary team no matter what has happened in the past or what's going on. We'll see if the Laporta injury is serious. That could potentially affect him, although I have him in fantasy, and yeah, he hasn't really been used so much so for this year by the offense, which is strange because Jared Goff, was finding him a lot last year. So it's kind of interesting that he hasn't really found his spot in the offense this year. But we'll see once he comes back from injury if he, can get back to what he was last year. Number 5, I have the 3-0 Seattle Seahawks. I didn't think they were going to be 3-0. They've had maybe an easier schedule than some teams, at least on paper, but Geno Smith's looking good. He's a good quarterback in this league. Once again, system matters, environment matters. He's in a good spot in Seattle where he can play his game with weapons. They look pretty good. If he can continue playing the way he's playing, be efficient, find the deep shots, protect the football, that's what happens. And look, there's always the teams that have the elite quarterback play. But, I think as time moves on, we're learning as football fans that sometimes you just need clean quarterback play to be able to win. Trust your team, trust the guys around you, trust your defense, trust your special teams, play a clean football, and you can win. And Seattle's 3-0, and they look pretty solid. And they're leading the NFC West right now with a 1-2 Cardinals team, a 1-2 49ers team, and a 1-2 Rams team. 1-2 Rams team. Yeah. So Seattle at number 5. And speaking of needing clean quarterback to play, the 3-0 Pittsburgh Steelers are my number 4 team. Justin Fields, look, pump the brakes. There is so much talk online this week. It's driving me nuts comparing Caleb Williams and Justin Fields. Justin Fields has talent. We know that. I last year was pushing to keep Justin Fields. We knew the talent he had, but look, sometimes things just don't work out. Caleb Williams has looked fantastic. I don't think that the Bears made the wrong choice, right? Sometimes you just need a different switch up. Look at all the different quarterbacks on this team, or on this power rankings this week, with Malik Willis performing. Jared Goff went to a different team and he found his home and is performing. Geno Smith went to a different team and found his home and is performing. Justin Fields is playing well. Is he lighting the league on fire? No. He's only averaging, I think, 174 passing yards a game. I could be wrong on that. But off the top of my head, that's what I remember. But he's not turning the football over. He's playing well. He's seeing guys. He's scoring the easy touchdowns, taking what he can get, and he's trusting his players to make plays. And this is what Pittsburgh needs, right? They couldn't get it done last year because Kenny Pickett couldn't protect the football. But Pittsburgh is a well-coached team, a well-run organization, and they have one of the top defenses in the league. And when they have a mobile quarterback like this in a run game with Najee Harris, like what they have, and then a defense with TJ Watt on the other side, this is a scary team. I think that people aren't really trusting it yet because we're still kind of talking about the, Justin Fields versus a Russell Wilson conversation, but I've seen the highs of Justin Fields. I've seen the lows as well, but I've seen the highs. And when he's playing clean football and he's confident and he's trusting himself and the players around him, it's scary. And pair that with this defense and this head coach and Mike Tomlin, who's one of the best head coaches in the history of the sport. This team is scary. They are really scary. And I think that people aren't seeing it yet, but I think that they are going to see it soon. They're leading the AFC North. Baltimore's looked weak this year. Cincinnati's obviously looking really weak at 0-3. And Cleveland is Cleveland. They just lost to the Giants, right? So this team is hot. Watch out. People are underrating Pittsburgh right now. I honestly think they're one of the better teams in the league as long as Justin Fields can continue playing the way he's playing, which I think he can. Number 3, Kansas City. They're 3-0. They find ways to win. And what I always say on this team or on this channel is the good teams in the league find the ways to win. The bad teams in this league find the way to lose. Once again, they had some beneficial calls this week. Shocker. This week they play the Chargers and Derwin James is magically suspended. Shocker, right? But they find ways to win. They get it done. They got the huge 4th-and-1 stop against Atlanta. The defense is still looking good like it was last year. Mahomes. This isn't uncommon for Mahomes to struggle in September. At the start of his career, he was really dominant in September, but these past couple of years, they've looked a little iffy. They will find their way. They'll find their footing. They've got the best quarterback in the league, the best coach in the league. They'll be fine. But even when they're not their best, they're still 3-0. And I would do a lot of things for my Bears to be 3-0 right now. Good teams find ways to win. They're 3-0, and we've seen flashes of what they can be. Rashee Rice is obviously a really big piece in this offense. Put the off-the-field issues to the side, even though they're serious. Kansas City's looking like not necessarily the strongest team in the AFC through 3 weeks, but we know who they are, and we can't count them out no matter what. Number 2, another NFC North team, the Minnesota Vikings, who are obviously the biggest surprise this season. I thought they were going to be terrible, and I couldn't be more wrong. And here's another quarterback who goes to a new area, a new environment, a new system with a new coach and new players, and is lighting it up in Sam Darnold. Sometimes the environment matters. This stuff matters, and he's looked fantastic. He protecting the football. He's getting the ball to Justin Jefferson, and Aaron Jones is looking really good. And obviously, they've got TJ Hawkinson, and Minnesota with Brian Flores is a scary NFC team. The way that he can call these defenses to put so much pressure on the opposing quarterback is unbelievable. CJ Stroud looked so uncomfortable this past week playing against them, and I remember the audio snippet of Brock Purdy complimenting Brian Flores and saying that his system and his scheming is insane and it's hard to deal with. He's a fantastic coach. I remember I was really, really pissed when Miami fired him because I thought he was a great coach. This team is looking dangerous. And I can't believe it because a month ago you asked me where I thought Minnesota was going to be. I thought they were going to be contending for the first pick. And here they are, number 2 on my power rankings, the best team in the NFC. I mean, that is no joke. They're looking good. We'll see if Sam Darnold is, the way he's been playing is sustainable, but they look fantastic so far. And as a Bears fan, it scares me because, Green Bay's looked good without Jordan Love. Detroit's looked decent this year, and Minnesota looks borderline unstoppable so far. So we'll see. But I'm really excited that the NFC North is going to be good this year, and that Minnesota is not going to just be two free wins, right? I always want healthy teams, healthy competition, so we can truly evaluate where our teams are at, right? Finally, number one this week in the power rankings, the Buffalo Bills. To me, they look like the best team in the league right now. They typically do in September. If you guys watch First Things First, every year they call Buffalo the September champs. So take what we've seen so far with a grain of salt. But since they changed the offensive coordinator last year in Buffalo, Josh Allen's looked good. He hasn't put the ball in harm's way. He hasn't had a ton of those Superman moments. Obviously, in week one this year, he did a little bit, but he's looked good. He's protecting the football, what I keep talking about in this video. And the way that they're dominating these games, they aren't just winning, they are dominating these games. They dominated Arizona, they dominated Miami, and they destroyed Jacksonville this week. His team is looking good. Keon Coleman got involved this week, got his first touchdown. James Cook, obviously looking great, having a solid season. DeMar Hamlin got his first interception. It's a really, really cool moment. Trevor Lawrence really just gifted it to him. And Josh Allen looks fantastic. So obviously the loss of Stephon Diggs is potentially benefiting this team so far, but they look like the strongest team in the league. And we'll see how long that keeps up, because we've seen this from Buffalo time and time again. And then we've, like Josh Allen's quarterback rating, the Buffalo Bills are a bit of a roller coaster ride. So we've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, and I'm telling you right now, remember this, come back to this in 2-3 weeks, a month. This team is going to dominate good teams, or who we think are good teams, and then their first loss is going to come against someone that we all think was going to be a free win. So that's where I stand with the power rankings week 4. Let me know what you guys think. Did I get it right? Am I missing a team? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe really helps grow the channel. Trying to hit 100 subscribers by the end of September. We've got 6 days left to do it. I think we can, but yeah, that would mean the world to me. I appreciate you guys hanging out in the den with me today. As always, bear down, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.